with myself, council members Benton, Bradford, Vice Chair Huffman, Kimbrough, Nash, Prep-T, and Weiner. We do have a public comment today from Davy Tucker, speaking about RS 2024-791. I know that you live in Davidson County. You are a Tennessee resident, so I'm not going to check your ID today. So I'm going to turn on the public podium and I'll start the timer.
Thank you, Chair. In response to this proposal, I just offer a few questions. If you really want to know and gauge public sentiment, is it the best choice to use the department whose sentiment you're trying to gauge to tell you what that sentiment is? Is it best practices to use a AI-generated software package to track community sentiment inside of the department that is being assessed? Most would agree that intense community engagement across a planned community engagement across the different geographical, ethnic, social strata would give you the best community sentiment. MHRC would be glad to partner with MMPD to do exactly that, which would be a months-long process mapped out across demographics, across economics, in an open, transparent forum to collect the data, collate it in association with MMPD, and provide that. My final question is, can you trust the person who's asking or saying whether or not they're trusted or not? Assess if this is legit. I know you're not paying for it, and it's $200,000 from an outside organization, but accountability and transparency has long been one of the recurrent themes around policing. I just don't think this is going to get us there. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on. I do have a consent agenda. So I'll read off the item number and the bill or resolution number. And then if anybody would like to take something off of consent, we'll be able to do that. First item that I have on consent is RS 2024-776. Second item that I have is number 3, RS 2024-824. Item number 4, RS 2024-825. Item number 5, RS 2024-830. And then RS 2024-832. Is there anybody who would like one of these items pulled off consent? Councilmember Kimbrough.
Okay, item number 5.
Yes. Would you like that removed?
Just now, do I do that if I want to ask questions?
Yeah, we can go ahead and pull it off. Okay.
Did you also say number 8?
I had not gotten there, but yes. I know, I forgot to scroll. So yes, I do have item number 8. Do you want to pull that one off?
Yes.
Okay. How about anything else that anyone else would like to have removed from the consent? Okay. Then I will start reading, and then if anybody has anything else, then, oh, yes. Yes, ma'am. Let's see.
Okay, you pull that off.
I don't know if I had that on there. Okay, it's not on there.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so first item that we have on consent is RS 2024-776, Porterfield, Evans, Allen, and others accepts a grant from the Tennessee Opioid Abatement Council to the Metropolitan Board of Health to use a multi-component approach to remediate the effects of opioid use in Nashville, Davidson County by implementing a sustainable strategic plan to decrease overdose incidents among the population. Item number 3, RS 2024-824, Porterfield, Evans, Welsh, and Allen appropriates a total of $355,200 from the Metropolitan Board of Health to Neighborhood Health Incorporated and approving a grant contract by and between the Metropolitan Board of Health and Neighborhood Health Incorporated to provide homeless services with homeless individuals with medical, dental, mental health, and substance abuse services at 2 or more clinics in or near downtown Nashville. Item number 4, RS 2024-825 by Porterfield, Evans, Welsh, and others appropriates a total of $355,000 from the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Office of Homeless Services, to the Contributor Incorporated, and approving a grant agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Office of Homeless Services, and the Contributor Incorporated to provide critical time intervention services to ensure that individuals are connected to supportive services that will address barriers to maintaining housing and achieving self-sufficiency. Item number 7, RS 2024-832 by Porterfield and Evans accepts a grant from the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security to the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department for the provision of police, traffic services, highway safety projects. Do I have a motion? Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone not voting? All right, we recommend approval. Okay, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. All right, we will move on to item number 2, which is RS 2024-791 by Porterfield and Evans. Accepts a grant from the Nashville Police and Public Safety Alliance to the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to purchase the Zen City Blockwise platform to measure resident safety perceptions and trust in law enforcement through ongoing surveys to guide public safety strategies. Do I have a motion? Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. How about discussion? Councilmember Porterfield, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair Evans. I still have concerns about this particular software. In looking through the way that the software works, not only is it doing surveys, but it is also scanning through public social media. It's scanning through some public records, like council meeting minutes, which I think is absolutely fine. It's also scanning through like hub requests as well as internal email. And my concern with the internal email, if although our emails are public record, if someone were to request that, it goes through a process, it's legal looks at it, you determine if information needs to be redacted. This would not have those steps, and this would be a third party that is having access to internal Metro government emails. So I have a lot of concerns about this legislation, and I will be voting against it, Chair, and I ask my colleagues to also vote against it.
Okay, thank you, Chair Porterfield. How about, first of all, let me get Councilmember Prepty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Like my at-large colleague, I'm rising in opposition to this software. A number of issues that have been pointed out both by Pastor Davey Tucker as well as our colleague raises serious First Amendment considerations for me as well, especially with the utilization of AI and the collection of information and data off of social media sites, specifically if it is collecting and postulating specific kinds of groups or individuals and whether or not they're associating with each other, and having that information be mined and housed within this database, which again is something that I firmly believe raises very serious First Amendment implications for Nashville and for MNPD, and so we want to make sure that we're not doing anything that could potentially expose us to any potential lawsuits or having to be under a federal consent decree. Likewise, I am curious as to whether or not the function of this software can already be accomplished through Hub Nashville and through the data that we already have accessible to us to be able to gauge that. And I also think that a more important matter to address and to take into consideration with the collection of this data is the manner in which we are doing it and whether or not we are ensuring that our institutions are embedded in the communities that they're supposed to be serving. Because I think one of the better ways, as Pastor Tucker has pointed out, to be able to collect this information as far as being embedded in our communities and listening to our citizens and not necessarily hiding behind technology, but actually having those face-to-face conversations to where we're not only getting that information, but we're building those relationships and that trust. I think that there's a better way for us to be doing this, and I don't believe that this software is the way for us to do that. So I'm rising in opposition, and I ask my colleagues to vote against this.
Thank you, Councilmember Prepty. Let me get Councilmember Huffman, and then we'll go to Councilmember Weiner.
Thank you, Chair. Deputy Chief Gilder, just a few questions for you, sir. So in regards to Zen City, could you just briefly talk about some other cities that have implemented this and how that process is in regards to the implementation phase regarding, is it fully implemented? Is it partially implemented?
Yeah, so Zen City is a platform that is used by dozens of cities across the United States. If you go to their website, they've got a list of agencies there. There's also some cities that they've got links to news articles about their implementation. It's not just police departments that utilize Zen City. I guess to briefly talk about the intended use here, is its intended use is as a survey tool. And it's really just one tool in the community engagement bucket, I guess, that we have. And so I know in some of the discussion about, it's important to get into the communities and have discussions. We do that every day. In fact, year to date, we've had over 618 community engagement meetings within our department. So we are out there. We are engaging the community. We are getting feedback. This just is a survey tool that allows us to find out what community sentiment on particular issues, how we're performing on particular issues, what the concerns are from neighborhoods about certain issues. And I don't think that is something that can be accomplished by Hub, because again, they do surveys that reach people through various means like advertising, through social media ads and whatnot. It's all voluntary. They click on it. They decide whether they want to do it. It is anonymized. They don't collect data. We don't get any data about the identity of the individuals that do that, that take the survey, and not personalized information, and to the question about, I know there was some question about the email access. That is a feature that maybe some businesses or other government entities can utilize. That is not something we could utilize in the MMPD. Although our emails are public record, there are a lot of exceptions that apply, and because a lot of the information we deal with is confidential under state law, like pending criminal case information, we simply can't give a third-party platform access to our email. That's not how we would use this tool.
And just overall then, to summarize, the MNPD is looking to obtain a tool utilizing AI that supplements other community engagement efforts.
That's correct.
Yeah. How does it overall fit into the broad community engagement strategy, or is that too early?
Well, the thing that we don't have a good survey tool currently. I mean, there are some entities like Vanderbilt does a top-line poll that does some kind of high-level surveys about general sentiments around law enforcement. But most of our feedback is from those individualized interactions where we're going to community meetings, we're meeting with individuals in the community, but it's not really the same as a survey can provide you. So we're pretty excited about this again because they specialize in providing that type of feedback. A lot of police departments have utilized them around the country with a lot of great success.
To Pastor Tucker's previous point, so his offer of that he'd be happy to help you guys out. Just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't see this as a this or nothing else. Certainly, we welcome any kind of assistance we can get with community engagement, and would be happy to have some discussions around that.
Chair, I see a department that is consistently under attack of being non-transparent, attempting to be transparent, and I just don't see how that's a bad thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Huffman. Councilmember Nash, did you have your hand raised at one point? Okay, I'm going to get you after Councilmember Weiner. Councilmember Weiner.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate it. Councilmember, I'll be quick. So because I am not adept at AI, can you please explain how AI interfaces with this and if any metro government data is going to be accessed as a function of any part of this program?
So I think the AI feature that they advertise is related to their ability to, again, if you want them to access your email system or your hub system or your pages, like Facebook page, to see what the commentary is going on. Like if there's a rash of discussion about speeding or shoplifting or something like, they can use those features to kind of cull and say, hey, you're getting a lot of people who are talking about this issue. I think that's how they utilize the AI feature. That's not the service that we're interested in. What we're interested in is the survey service, where they are putting out community surveys, again, around the public's concern around public safety issues, perceptions about law enforcement, to get that feedback. And that is a like targeted distribution so that folks can click on it and volunteer. It's entirely up to them if they want to take the survey or not. They're short. They offer it in multiple languages, and it's anonymized. So they're not collecting data, personalized information about the person. I mean, obviously, geographically, where they live, that sort of thing, but we don't get any kind of personalized information.
So my second and last question is, insofar as gathering the data, who is going to be collecting the information, and how would me as just a resident of the community be able to access this program in order to be able to participate and share my thoughts?
Yes. So my understanding is that it's largely through ad advertisements. So like I said, through social media and other platforms, when you're scrolling through maybe your local news feed and you see, hey, there, we want advertising you to click on and voluntarily fill that out. In the past, surveys are difficult because the way we all, it used to be you got landline numbers, and we used to get landlines back in the day, and we would call and say, hey, how are we doing? How'd that officer, have you had an interaction with a police officer? How was that interaction? But you had to buy those landline numbers, and nowadays it's cell phones, and then people move around, so there's not like really a great way to do that. So we're excited that there is a way to get to actual folks in the community and get their opinion and their feedback on issues. But that's primarily my understanding of how they go about doing that.
Who in MNPD is going to review, cull, and share the data?
The data is actually collected by Zen City, and they produce it in a survey, just like you would get with any other kind of survey. Here are the results. So it'll probably come via our police information technology team, but so they're not actually getting the data themselves. They're just getting the results from the survey.
Okay, thank you so much. That's
Yes, ma'am.
helpful. I believe, as Councilman Huffman does, that sometimes, well, first of all, I think that there's nothing wrong with this. I don't see any data diving. I don't see any issue where people's personal information is going to be shared. I think that if they're looking inward, as any business might do, they're going to engage people to do this for them. And I don't see Metro police officers looking at somebody saying, tell me what you think of me. That's not what's happening here. And so if we're getting a report, if we want to get the report directly from them to another entity, I think the police might be very willing to accept that as an option and then utilize that data to inform how they work moving forward. I just don't see anything wrong with it, and I'll be supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Weiner. I guess one question, Deputy Chief, about how will we know, like, how will we, other than like, oh, let me have a report, or let's have a bill that says you have to give us a report, how will we know what is the sentiment about MNPD? And also kind of to Pastor Davies or Tucker's points, like kind of layering in, and if there's opportunity to kind of use it as a yes and kind of approach of this and additional community engagement to be able to kind of dovetail like what the results of that are. Like, how will I know, I guess, is the very short answer question that I'm trying to ask and not repeat too many times.
Sure. I foresee the plan would be, again, I think I got asked this last time, would we share the results? Yes. So we post a lot of information on our website. So I would see that being that sort of thing. I mean, that's what a lot of agencies do. It's not confidential in any kind of way.
In your surveys today, I know I get the paper survey requests from the Hermitage precinct. Does every precinct do a survey the same way today? And this will replace their process? Or they're not going to continue to do paper surveys if you end up with this tool?
The goal is to move away from having to utilize our personnel and that time to collect that kind of input. This is a more automated, streamlined way, and so that you're not utilizing officers to have to call, or MMPD employees to have to call or put out surveys themselves. And I think to the point that was brought up, it does. When they're filling out this survey, it's not. I think you're more inclined to provide that information in a survey that you volunteered to take. Rather than like maybe you might not be willing to provide in a face-to-face type of exchange, or even talking on the phone to someone that directly works for the police department. So the hope would be that we get better participation and that it's more honest feedback.
And I guess kind of thinking about Pastor Tucker's suggestion as well. It's like thinking about how information garnered from this could inform the areas where really we do need to have more engagement, and then also really how it's connected across every other department that kind of falls under this committee, health primarily. Just some of the things, the activities that they're working on related to violence and all the other issues, that are kind of fitting under that public health bucket. So I guess I'd like to see if this passes, like a stronger connection between the feedback of this. So it's not just like sitting on the MNPD website, but instead it's really used to inform kind of these other aspects of what MHRC does, and then what other departments are doing. So I don't know how to effectuate that in this moment, but I think it's something that we should talk about more if you end up being able to implement.
Yeah, and I would be happy to come back and talk about how we've utilized the tool and the results that we've seen. It does, I know a lot of cities utilize it across departments. It's not just geared towards police departments. So it may be something that, the rest of Metro government is interested in utilizing. And this is a good way to find out if it's a good, viable tool, because again, we're not expending Metro funds in order to purchase it. It is a grant donation for the year, so.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Let me get Councilmember Bradford. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. So I appreciate that line of questioning because it lines up with some of the questions I had. First of all, is this software, this program, is it something that can be demoed if anyone's curious to see how it works? Is there a way to host a demonstration?
They do utilize demonstrations. I know that, yes, they do demos. I know they do.
Okay. Because some of the questions I've heard from others have kind of been like, what exactly are we getting and what is it doing? And I think maybe having opportunities for both council members and maybe the public to see how it works could probably help with some of these questions. And the other question I have, Madam Chair, is to Mr. Tucker's point about MHRC, and this is kind of a question to the administration. Would there be any issue with a deferral of this so that we can amend the agreement to have this between the Public Safety Alliance and MHRC so that MHRC could be the one conducting the surveys? And while they're thinking that over, Mr. Tucker, do you have the staff to do that?
Sure that if we don't, that this is a critical issue that it would not take much for us. Because again, my question is, does this data now become the document that you use to assess community sentiment? Does the document produced by MMPD now become the gold standard for you? That there are ways in which we can get clear data, and I welcome the opportunity to develop it from the ground up, to be able to do a comprehensive survey from, again, as I was reading it, AI is just that. It's AI, artificial intelligence. It does exactly what you tell it to do. It also sets parameters that throw out certain responses if you tell it to. It has this randomness that does not always get everybody. I live in 37206. I don't get those survey calls that everybody talks about. Never have. So again, I think if it's going to be used as a data point to make policing decisions, money expenditures, I think there's a much better way to get us much deeper into the cross-section of the city.
Okay.
In a much more meaningful way.
Right. Has the administration had a chance to come up with an answer? As to, could this be deferred and amended, that this agreement is between MHRC and the Public Safety Alliance?
Director Darby's going to speak to that.
The legislation that's before us today is not actually an agreement for the purchase of software. It is for the acceptance of grant funding for the purpose of using it for the purchase of the software, but we don't actually have an agreement before us between Metro and the purveyor of Zen City to purchase software.
So basically, this is to accept money to buy the program, but there's nowhere in the agreement saying that MNPD is the one in charge of doing the surveys, or MHRC, or the mayor's office. It's just saying we're agreeing to accept this money for this program.
The intent is for the funding to go to the police department for the purchase of the program.
Yes, so Councilmember Bradford, do you have any more questions? Because I want to go on to Councilmember Porterfield.
Maybe later. That answer kind of left some stuff open. I've got to ruminate on it.
Okay, let me go to Councilmember Porterfield. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yep,
I
he was. My bad.
apologize. I don't mean to forget you. So let me come back over here and get Councilmember Nash. Go for it.
Oh, gosh. I sense so often with the police department, no good deed goes unpunished. Here we have a department that's wanting to get some random, some anonymous data collected from a wide group of people that you can't get at a community meeting. These are, and let me tell you, when I was commander over at East Precinct, I spent more time with my community sergeant at community meetings than I did with my wife. I mean, that's just how we were doing business, trying to engage the community and get feedback. But that's not random feedback. It's not anonymized feedback. This gives them an opportunity to do. And God bless our chief of police for trying to get other ideas out there to find out what's going on within in the community that maybe he's missing. Or AI, folks, is here. You're dealing with AI every time you pick up your telephone and ask a question to Google about something, and you'll get all kinds of advertisements. I mean, this is nothing strange about it anymore, and not going to be something that I think we need to fear. He's already said that it's not going to do our emails. So I'm supportive of this, and I hope other folks will be too here. This city has more attorneys. This police department has more attorneys that review all of this stuff. Every major project that we took on, well, I was there, and I'm sure it's still the same. Look, we want to make sure that we don't have one of those agreements from DOJ coming in here and making us change the way we're doing business. We are always very sensitive to DOJ, to our Constitution, and I will be supporting this, and I hope other folks will too.
Thank you, Councilmember Nash. Councilmember Porterfield.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to hit a few points. I appreciate Director Tucker for sharing his concerns. I haven't gotten those survey calls either, and I know I've had to call MMPD probably more than 10 times since I've been a council member, and even times I had to call before then, I've never gotten a survey call from MMPD, so I'm not really sure how they're targeting people. To the point of MMPD is wanting to be more transparent and build trust with the community, I think that's amazing. And I think that that is something that is needed and it has to happen. So to be clear, this is not saying don't do surveys. This isn't saying don't engage with the public. This is saying don't use this one tool that is problematic. This one tool that is collecting data, as far as the information, and I'm hearing MMPD saying that that is not their intent or that's not the way that they plan to use this. This is what the software is. On their website, they collect data from local governments such as 311, 211, city hotline service requests, city managed web pages or social media, as well as through public social media channels, web sources, Facebook groups, Twitter hashtags, and keywords, as well as surveys that the local government or Zen City sends to residents. So this is not like an either or, this is what the actual software says it does. With regards to using this particular software, it even says, while Zen City's competitors may offer tools for analyzing citizen-generated data from either internal or external data sources and may offer outreach engagement tools such as the digitized surveys, Zen City product offers a truly unique, innovative integration of ongoing survey tools and tailored experiences into one platform. They are advertising this as saying other companies do surveys, but we go above and beyond by scrubbing data, in essence, going through emails and getting this information. If all they want is survey, then great. Let's find an entity that just does the surveys, that gives MMPD the data that they want without risking public trust. Because what we're hearing is that they want to build on public trust. Zen City website says that it's for public safety and trust, but this is going to reduce trust if you have people in the community that are saying we don't trust a third party going through government emails. So why use the platform that can do that when you could just get a platform that solely does the surveys? And then the last point is about removing identifiable information. They do remove identifiable information in some entities, but there are also entities in which they don't remove identifiable information, which is stated on their website that if someone sends a message, and if my message says, hey, Chief Gilder, Aaron Evans has a dog in her yard or whatever the case may be, it removes my information that I sent that email. It does not remove Aaron Evans' name out of the body of that email. Their software does not have a way to do that. So it is not removing all identifiable information. And then lastly, it is using census data. They are getting representative feedback by cross-referencing U.S. Census data from the community with targeted distribution. So all of these things are concerns. Again, I want MMPD to have a system or a mechanism to do surveys, to engage with the community. What I am saying is this is not the platform because this platform has too many concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Porterfield, I want to go to the administration.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dave Rosenberg with the Mayor's Office. Zen City does offer a wide range of tools, but I think it's important to look at the legislation and see what you're being asked to authorize, what MNPD is asking to do. The enacting portion of the legislation allows purchasing the Zen City Blockwise platform to measure resident safety perception and trust in law enforcement through ongoing surveys to guide public safety strategies, a copy of which is attached here to incorporated herein. It's not saying they're going to use all of Zen City's products. It's saying that they want to be able to use the survey tool, which to my knowledge, and don't see how that would involve AI unless you consider running a program to analyze survey data AI. They do have a wide range of products. That's not what this legislation is authorizing, though. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenberg. We've got several questions. I want to end, we've got 4 more people in the queue, and then we're going to cut off deliberation. We're going to go ahead and vote because I've got concerns about our time. And so if you could be brief in your follow-up questions, Councilmember Huffman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. And yeah, I'll be brief. I've got a unique perspective here because I work in data analytics every day. I understand your concerns, my colleague in the front row here, Ms. Porterfield. But this is what Zen City does. Their 311 service, for example, is not something that the police department will use because that doesn't make sense. It's a company that focuses on city-based and municipal solutions. What I want us to be very, very cautious about is turning down a tool because we don't understand it. I want us to really, really get into exactly what we're getting here. And thank you, Mr. Rosenberg, for clearing that up. But voting against something just because we think that the police may use it erratically, that concerns me. We have an opportunity to gather data in a manner that is much more efficient than we do right now. It's as simple as that. And it sounds to me like the city has a really good opportunity to utilize this as a pilot. And if it works, and if the data shows us that it works, then we can roll this out to get more data about how our citizens are feeling. It's up to us to understand that, because then we can govern a certain way. If we are not governing the way that our citizens want, then what are we doing here? We're not being representative of our actual communities. So the more data, the better. I understand the concerns, but census data is census data. You know, it's as bottom baseline as you get with data, and they're using that to cross-reference. So I ask us to think in this in terms of the benefit that it can provide. If any red flags come up during this process, then yeah, I think then we have the ability to come back and ask tough questions about that. But to say Zen City is problematic, you would find that if you would, just look through Google, check any news story. If they were problematic, I assure you it would have made the news. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Let's go to Councilmember Prep T. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll keep this quick. This question is for you, Chief Gilder, and you might not necessarily know since you don't represent Zen City, but my question is, so within the information that they are collecting, even though MNPD will be receiving anonymized information, well, this might not necessarily be a question. I'll for the sake of brevity, I'll simply say, but I'll give you an opportunity to respond. I'm also concerned about the ability of this third-party software and this third-party company being able to sell our citizens identifiable information. Even though that's not necessarily something that MNPD would receive, that is a concern that I do have. I think that we need to be doing everything that we can, again, to build trust, but also to protect our citizens' information.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Prep T. Let's go to Councilmember Weiner. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to hear Deputy Chief Gilder's answer to Councilmember Prepty's question first, and my previous question is moot now because not Councilmember Rosenberg anymore, asked the question and had that delivered for us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the information when I was studying up on the company as we were considering this grant, there is, and this is publicly stated on their website, that they do not maintain any, they don't keep or share any resident identity data. So they didn't say that not just shared with the entity that's requested the survey, they just said they don't keep or share it. So I have to presume that that means, no, they do not sell data collected as a product of, collected in the course of doing the surveys.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Weiner and Deputy Chief Gilder. Councilmember Bradford, and then we're going to move on and vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This question is for Deputy Chief Gilder. Earlier, I'd asked about if they do demos. This question is following up with that. How quickly could a demo be scheduled?
I guess I don't know. I'd have to check and see. I mean, the software was demoed for the police department, back when we looked into it. I know they have they may even be able to set up a demonstration for you individually. If you go through, there are opportunities if you go to the website to schedule a demo directly. So I'm not sure what feature you're wanting to see. Again, the service that we're looking to acquire is a survey, the survey feature. So I think maybe the demo stuff is more geared towards how do their other features work, but
And the demonstration that was given to the police, was that recorded?
no, I don't believe it was recorded. I think it was just a meeting that occurred
Okay.
in person.
Madam Chair, I am leaning towards asking for a one-meeting deferral in order for members of this community, of this committee, members of the council, and any members of the community who is interested in learning about this to take an opportunity to do those demonstrations and to learn more about this. Now, deferral could fail tonight, but I'm just going to go ahead and officially ask for a one-meeting deferral.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for a one-meeting deferral. All those in favor of a one-meeting deferral, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, let's do it by hands. I'm sorry, since I didn't catch, I didn't think there'd be so many no's. All those in favor of a one-meeting deferral, please raise your hand. So we've got 4 in favor. How many opposed? I'm opposed. So motion for a one-meeting deferral fails. So let's go ahead and move forward with voting. All those in favor of this legislation, please say aye. Anyone opposed? We've got 3 in opposition, and I am in favor. You recommend approval. All right, we're going to go ahead and move forward, and we're going to go ahead and take up Councilmember Prepty's legislation since he's got Rules Committee to go to. That is item number 9, BL 2024-469, Prepty, Porterfield, and others, amends chapters 2.44, 2.28 and 2.222 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws pertaining to criminal participation and related actions of employees of the Metropolitan Government. Councilmember Prepty, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be very brief with this. First and foremost, I want to thank every single person and every single department, the council staff, Metro Legal, MMPD, the fire department, the sheriff's office, Metro HR for engaging with me on this important piece of legislation. And there's still so much more work for us to be doing to get this in the perfect place. And I want that work to continue without the significant time constraints. So at this time, I will withdraw.
Okay, you have withdrawn. Thank you very much. We will go back and we will pick up. Let's see. Thank you. Item number 5, RS 2024-830, Porterfield, Evans, and others appropriates a total of $200,000 from the Office of Family Safety to various nonprofit organizations selected to receive community partnership fund grants. Do I have a motion? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Or any discussion? Let me ask that. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Kimbrough, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. My question was, what were some of those nonprofit organizations?
Director Darby, is that, oh, you want to come up? I didn't see you back there. Please come up and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, council members. Excuse me. My name is LaToya Townsend. I am the Deputy Director of Development at the Metro Office of Family Safety. And is the question, who are the nonprofits?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So there are 5 nonprofits that we have awarded through a competitive process CPF funds if this is approved. Agape, who provides foster care resources to children as well as overnight and weekend advocacy services at the Family Safety Center, and they also run a domestic violence shelter. We also have Nurture the Next, who typically does partnership work regarding publicizing the important domestic violence work across the city. We've awarded a smaller grant to the Sexual Assault Center to assist with therapy services, and Safe Haven Family Shelter as well to assist with services provided there. And lastly, the Nashville Children's Alliance, who provides forensic interviews, coordinates forensic interviews for children who are severely abused or impacted by violence.
Thank you. Councilmember Kimbrough, did you have any other questions? All right, thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion on this item? All right, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone not voting? All right, you recommend approval. Okay. Next is item number 6, RS 2024-831, Porterfield, Evans, and Suara accepts a DNA capacity enhancement for backlog reduction program grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to outsource sexual assault kits to private vendors for forensic case sample analysis to reduce the backlog associated with DNA analysis. Do I have a motion? It's been moved and seconded. From a discussion standpoint, I took this off consent because I know there were a lot of questions, like from news reporters and things like that this week about it. And I know you all spoke to it yesterday in budget. And so would you be able to, Deputy Chief, give an overview of what this does?
Sure. So this is one of 2 grants that the Department of Justice offers to police departments around the country to assist with backlogs in DNA testing. I got asked last night if we had our own crime lab. We do. We have our own crime lab, so we don't send our kits to TBI. We test them in-house. The problem we ran into is that for a while we had a vacancy within our crime lab. I believe it's called the DNA technical leader, but it's basically the person who's responsible for overseeing DNA analysis, which is very controlled. And so with that position vacant, we had a slowdown and a backlog of DNA analysis, and we have to outsource that via these grants. This is not the first time we've obtained this grant. We obtained this grant and the Coverdale grant before. This is one we applied for back in the spring, and this is the acceptance for it. But basically, it allows us to send them to private labs that meet all the same criteria that our lab is required to meet. Chain of custody is in place. So I got that question last night. Can we use, does this affect our ability to use these results in court? No, it does not, because we maintain chain of custody. And again, these are certified labs. So it's just, again, to help us stay caught up on our DNA backlog, which we're with now fully staffed over there in our DNA lab. So we should be getting caught up.
All right. Any questions for Deputy Chief Gilder or any discussion on this? All right. All those in favor of this item? Anyone opposed? Okay. We've got 1 in opposition. Okay. You recommend approval. Anyone not voting? All right. Let's go on to item number 8, RS 2024-833 by Porterfield and Evans. Approves Amendment 1 to a Hotspot Violent Crime Intervention Fund, VCIF Targeted Community Crime Reduction Project, TCCRP grant from the Tennessee Office of Criminal Justice Programs to the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to provide support to local law enforcement in developing and implementing evidence-based strategies to combat violent crime. Do I have a motion? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item? I think Councilmember Kimbrough, I think you had pulled this off consent. Did you have questions? Oh, okay. All right. Any discussion from anyone else on the committee? All right, seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? 1. All right, I got 1. Anyone not voting? All right, you recommend approval. Okay. Shannon Hall left, so I can't ask her for an HR update related to, is she out there in the hallway? I'd love to just hear kind of an update around the health department director search. Hello there. Thank you for staying in the hall. I thought you were long gone. I just wanted to know, could you give everybody, is there an update about the health department director search that you could share with the group?
It's going very well. I can at least say that, which is great. We are on schedule and on time for the timeline that we had outlined. We got a really great pool of applicants moving through the process. We were actually quite pleased with it was a deep, rich, diverse pool. That was absolutely the goal. So definitely a very successful outreach on the recruitment. And then the interviews with the public health the Board of Health will be happening on November 21st. Expect that to be mostly an all-day event.
And did anything end up, from, I guess, back in August, kind of the discussion that when I was there at the Board of Health and the discussion around like what community kind of focused activities could potentially be part of the process? Did the board ever land on anything specific, or is that still under discussion?
Probably not as much under discussion anymore. I will tell you, just from an HR perspective, and I lead a lot of executive searches, and I've done a lot of executive searches here. You have to be very careful about how you engage community input. What we have done is we are planning a presentation portion, and the interviews themselves and the presentation will be open to the public. That's an obvious, but I wanted to make sure that was super clear for those that are interested.
And so I guess to help me understand, so is that something that's part of the November 21st timeline, or is that something that's after that? So it's around the November 21st. Okay. And is that like going to be on Nashville.gov as like a public meeting, or how is that handled normally?
It would be a publicly noticed meeting. I will note that we attempted to get assistance to record those, but our very taxed and very competent Metro National Network team is not able to assist us with that.
Okay.
They've got I think they told us 7 competing meetings that they have already scheduled that day. So we did attempt to try to get those recorded. But I will say, I mean, the Metro National Network team was very responsive. They're just a small but mighty team, and they move mountains every day with all the other meetings. So they told us they were not able to assist us. So I wanted to let you know there was a good faith attempt there, and that they were very responsive to us, but unfortunately cannot assist us.
Thank you for letting us know that. I think that's kind of an ongoing struggle across Metro, is like now that we need so many more meetings recorded and things like that, that it does end up being really challenging for them. So thank you for sharing that. Does anybody have any questions for Director Hall on the search? Okay, I appreciate you running back in.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention, I guess, before we adjourn, first of all, thank you to everybody who was able to participate in some way related to the October's Domestic Violence Awareness Month's special called meetings, whether it was the Office of Family Safety kind of giving us a landscape of the court system, or the In Her Shoes event over at the Birch Building, or the October 30th meeting that was specific to kind of all the stakeholders kind of sharing their perspectives. If you don't watch any meeting, the October 30th meeting, I felt like had some really, really interesting, good information. I think Council members Benton and Nash may have been the two that came to everything. And so thank you for coming to all the things. I really appreciate that. And it was really good to have everybody who was able to participate attend. So of course, all those things were recorded except for In Her Shoes. But the Office of Family Safety meeting and then the 30th meeting were also recorded. So since there's nothing else that I had on my agenda, I appreciate everybody's time, and we're going to go ahead and adjourn. Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.